have before you a motion, and pardon me? Yeah, so Councillor Moore, I believe you wanted to move the motion and put it on the table, so would you like to read the motion as you're doing that? Council will note the changes, because you don't, there was only a couple of changes, so
Just
just listen intently and you will hear what the changes are to the motion. They're basically amendments to the motion.
Well, I think, Mr. Chairman, I'll move the motion and you can move an amendment separately, except for the language that I've added to the bottom
Sure,
of this. Now, I'll apologize to everyone now for the length of the motion. There's a number of whereases which I believe support the be it resolved at the end. Whereas the members of council for the 2010-2014 term of office have an obligation to the taxpayers and to the newly elected incoming mayor and councillors to take every reasonable and appropriate measures to bring closure to matters related specifically to them personally and collectively. And whereas on February the 12th, 2014, Council passed Resolution C-036-2014, directing that a forensic audit be conducted on the mayor and members of council expenses for the term of 2010 to 2014, and direct quotations from the motion earlier as required through evidence-based investigation. And whereas the mayor's threat of action against Deloitte auditors and Brampton's Integrity Commissioner Robert Swayze precluded both parties from appearing before council to address and respond to questions, requiring council to subsequently appoint Janet Leeper as an independent arbitrator to undertake a dispute resolution process and prepare a final report on amounts repayable by each member of council. And whereas the independent arbitrator's report addresses only amounts identified by Deloitte as recommended payback by each councillor. And whereas council specifically directed that any contravention of the city's policies or procedures for members of council be repaid by members' personal funds. And whereas there remains identified breaches in the Deloitte report for which council has the authority and obligation to address on behalf of taxpayers. And whereas Brampton's Integrity Commissioner Robert Swayze's findings state that the mayor has violated the code by knowingly overspending on her business travel on multiple occasions. Whereas Robert Swayze has stated he stands behind his findings and recommendations. And whereas council has the authority to withhold up to 90 days' pay for any member of council, including the mayor, who has violated the code of conduct. And whereas the council-approved driver for the office of the mayor is intended to assist the mayor in fulfilling the duties of the office of the mayor. And whereas the mayor, as an officer of the corporation under the Municipal Act, is required to make her schedule and calendar of events a matter of public record. And whereas the 2014 Deloitte report identified $144,150.25 for driving services, and for which the mayor's office, and this is a direct quote out of the Deloitte report, the mayor's office did not have specific documented information from the supplier regarding day-to-day services, and as a result, we did not have enough information to determine whether all contracted services were in compliance with the 2001 expense policy and the 2011 expense policy. Therefore, be it resolved that arbitrator Janet Leeper's report on a simplified dispute process in the matter of amounts repayable by members of council be approved, and be it further resolved that council deem Mayor Susan Fennell be personally financially responsible for driving services in the amount of $144,150.25 identified on page 2 of the Schedule A in the Deloitte 2014 Deloitte Forensic Examination of the Expenses of Mayor and Councillors, the Corporation of the City of Brampton, and be it further resolved that council impose on the mayor the maximum penalty of 90 days pay suspension as permitted under the Municipal Act for breaching the Code of Conduct. Be it further resolved that all such amounts be withheld from any amounts owing to the mayor under the council-approved severance package until or unless satisfactory documentation is produced. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. And then there is a further amendment. The further amendment further, Councillor Callahan and Councillor Hutton be subject to the same penalties and requirements as Mayor Fennell for breaching the code of conduct. They are listed in the report. And that amendment will be taken first. And I can tell, is there anybody on the board? Councillor Moore?
Well, I think Councillor Miles,
Oh, okay.
I'm happy to speak to the amendment, but Councillor Miles is on first.
Okay. So speaking to the amendment, Councillor Miles?
No, I'm not speaking to the amendment.
Okay, speaking to the amendment, Councillor Moore?
I'm going to speak to the amendment, Mr. Chairman, because, and I understand why you're moving it. I don't know who's seconding it, but I'm sure you'll find one. The Integrity Commissioner's report was very clear to me, and I'm sure it was clear to the members of the public as well. The Integrity Commissioner, Mr. Swayze, in his report, and it's in the original motion, states that the mayor knowingly breached the code of conduct and is silent on what the penalty should be. For members of council, where he's identified a breach, he has recommended a remedy, and when we approve the Integrity Commissioner's report, we'll be approving that remedy, and the members of council, I understand involved, have paid the amount back in any event. But beyond that, he's also stated that the members of council did not knowingly breach the code, and I think that's the fundamental difference between the mayor's breach and the breach on behalf of members of council. The Integrity Commissioner states that he was able to look at explanations, possible confusion, honest mistakes, inadvertence, and occasions when the expenditure was reimbursed, and goes on to recommend the remedy. So I'm satisfied that the Integrity Commissioner made the proper recommendation for those two members of council, and the silence on the penalty that can be imposed on behalf of the mayor, I think, is up to this council to make that determination. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm going to speak to that because you have to, it's easy to take, I guess, in context part of the report. Absolutely, he did ignorance, though, of the policies. The members of council did know what the policies were in dealing with it, and he absolutely said that there was other people that he thought, as reported by our solicitor, that may have breached the ones, but he was very specific on the three members of this council who did breach the code of conduct, and being ignorant of the policy is no excuse in that for dealing for that, and so I'm asking council to support the amendment that if you're going to penalize one, you have three members of council that have been named in the Integrity Commissioner for breaching it, and I think all three should be fair, and I will not support the full amendment, if the full motion, unless those the other members that are listed in that, and that's the reason why I think the penalty should be imposed on all three. But if you're not going to do all three and you're not going to show that, then I can't support the main motion because of that. So that's where Councillor Sprobieri, you're on the board.
Yeah. We're speaking to the amendment, Councillor Miles. Still. Thank you, Mr. Acting Mayor. I do support the motion by Councillor Moore, and I do agree with what has been stated, that and that includes all of us. That some of the violations that happened occurred through ignorance of us not reading in detail what the new value-based policy that we approved in 2011, but also it went through the proper channels with our staff. It was our staff that basically carried through whatever the two councillors and some of us, the requests that were made, and so it went through the proper channels. So no one tried to hide or try to beat the system or try to do something improper, because it was done through the proper channels. It was done through staff's participation. So to me, there was no ill intent from these two councillors of trying to get something that was not proper, and so because of that, I totally support that they should not be held accountable for this penalty, and simply because it was done through ignorance, and also it was done through the process that we have in place here at City Hall. So I don't believe that they should be, and besides, we hired the Integrity Commissioner to give us advice, and he provided us with the advice. And his advice was that the mayor knowingly violated the rules, whereas the rest of these two councilors, it was the violation was unintended or through not intentional. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to support the main motion, and will not support your amendment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Miles?
Thank you. I understand Mr. Swayze's in the audience, and if I could, I'd like to ask him a few questions.
We'll have to move that he be allowed to speak. All those in favor of having Mr. Swayze come forward? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Swayze, I wish I had known you were who you are earlier. I did see you sitting here. So you've heard a little bit of discussion here about an interpretation of your report, and I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions, if I could. I understand that when you received the results of the forensic audit, at that time you hadn't received the actual amounts that the forensic auditor and the follow-up letters that they sent to the municipality. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So you didn't know that in the end they actually said that the amount of funds that the mayor should pay back is 35,000, Councillor Hutton 5 or 6, and whatever. So that was new information to you. The other thing is have you had the opportunity to read the results of the of Janet Leeper, who did the arbitrated?
Yes,
the
I have.
arbitrated. And could you provide some comments as to her findings?
Well, through you, Mr. Chairman, the report of an arbitrator, the mandate of an arbitrator is to settle a dispute, to compromise. That's not my mandate. My mandate is to comment as an integrity commissioner in accordance with the existing code of conduct and with the municipal act.
Okay, so in the findings of Deloitte, they in fact found a number of members of council in breach of the code of conduct, and then through discussions with the arbitrator, it was determined in fact there wasn't a breach, that there was a misinterpretation of a number of different policies, and that was noted in the report. And I think in regards to the mayor's travel expenses, the same was true, that when it came down to interpretation, the Deloitte and Touche interpreted the findings one way, and in fact when the mayor's lawyer presented his arguments in regards to the actual policies, that Janet Leeper in fact agreed that there was no breach of policy.
And my comment through you, Mr. Chairman, is that the comments of an arbitrator have nothing to do with my findings as an integrity commissioner.
Okay, so even the fact that Deloitte said that there was a number of breaches, and in fact it was found later that there wasn't breaches, but you didn't have that information. So if you were to look at this situation today based on all of the information, would your findings be different?
No, not in any way.
Not in any way?
No.
So certainly with Councillor Callahan and Councillor Hutton, who you quite clearly found that there was a breach. I don't know if you said there was no intent in regards to them. I think in regards to some of the findings. Can you clarify in regards to everybody else except for the mayor?
I think so. I think the value-based approach produced the confusion.
Okay. But for everybody else, but you feel that the mayor, she knowingly and willingly breached policy,
That's what my report says.
and you still feel that? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. There's no other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you for appearing. Yeah.
The particular motion by Councillor Moore is in regards to, um, it's in regards to costs for driving services where no one who did the review, whether it be Deloitte or Mr. Swayze, of course, didn't look in depth, he just took the Deloitte findings, said that there was cause for repayment. And yet, this particular motion is asking council to support a recommendation in regards to driving services for the mayor that, even though it was identified in the report, there was never any recommendation by anyone that it be repaid until today. So, council doesn't have any information really in regards to this 144,150, other than I suspect it's in regards to the, her driver for, the limousine service, is that correct? The 144 is in regards to limousine services?
Yeah, it's
For how many?
for the driver services for 3 years, I think.
For
it
3
was,
years?
Is what that totals up.
For 3 years? Okay. So, do we have anyone from Treasury here?
Well, Peter and
Shirley? Maybe I could ask Shirley Gagnon to come down in regards to this, because if we're going to ask that it be repaid, and it wasn't part of any report or anything, I don't know where why this is here. However, it's on the book. So, Ms. Gagnon, when
Call me Shirley, it's fine.
Shirley's okay, because that's easier. So Shirley, when, in regards to the driving service for the mayor, we all know it was a budget item for every term of council?
That's correct.
Okay, so, members of council approved an amount for the mayor to hire a driving service, correct?
That's correct.
So how would they go about hiring this particular company? Like, did our treasury department actually put out an RFP? How?
All the procurement document has been provided. It went through a proper approval process that the company was selected.
So the budget was approved by council. It went through a proper procurement process. And then in regards to, was there anything within that procurement process that required the driver or the mayor's office to keep track of individual trips?
I don't believe that was
Through you,
spoken
Mr.
of
Chairman.
during the procurement process. And also, I don't believe the procurement was the public tendered.
Okay, so it wasn't a public tender, it was a procurement process, but it was within policy?
Whether it was
Through
in,
Mr. Chairman, my understanding in the history of this file is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Gannon, that you were not directly involved in that procurement process. And so I would like to actually do that research to answer that question accurately, exactly how that occurred.
Okay,
So I'm not, in all fairness to staff, and then to get you the correct information, I think in all fairness, we need to get that information directly from the files.
So I think then the issue in regards to asking for repayment of an amount of money that was budgeted went through a procurement process, and I understand that the receipts that weren't able to be provided to the auditor were actually in the Treasury Department and had been provided to Treasury. I don't know that for fact, but I do think that based on this, that this particular item should be referred. And I don't know how we do that, but we should have accurate information before we make this kind of a decision.
You, Mr. Acting Mayor, if I understand the resolution correctly, is that the addition was to allow the information to be provided prior to levying that amount. So if the information is not available, is not provided, then the amount would be levied. But if the information comes forward that validates an appropriate RFP and appropriate documentation, then the amount wouldn't have to be repaid. That's the way I read this.
So what does the word say? Because that is not the wording
Perhaps
that.
the mover of the motion could clarify that. You could find the satisfactory documentation that's clear, and then otherwise you move forward.
That doesn't, where, I don't have. So please read the amendment. Yes, but what does that mean? If,
I would take it through, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Acting Mayor, that the amount would not have to be repaid, or the compensation not paid to the mayor would not occur until we have that proper documentation.
but there's a number of items.
Right.
That, was it a proper process? Council passed the budget. Was it a proper process, and was there at any time a requirement to provide detailed trips?
Right.
My understanding is that this has been a 10-year process, and never at any time were they required to provide that information either to Treasury Department or to council.
All I can say in response to that, to you, Mr. Acting Mayor, is that the lawyer report said that they could not find information necessary to make a final judgment.
That's right. So they couldn't determine a rightness or a wrongness, but we're going to? How are we going to determine whether?
That's up to council.
How's council going to determine a rightness or a wrongness on this issue? If Deloitte couldn't, how are we going to? Besides, we're not even going to be here. So who's going to make that determination? Okay, so this is my last effort, members of council. Thank you. Thank you. This is, a lot of this really is for the members of the public. As you know, in the last 4 years, council has gone through a pretty difficult time. And we have hired a forensic auditor, we've hired a integrity commissioner, and at the end of the day, council agreed that we would hire an arbitrator. And the cost to the municipality of all of this is in the amount of about $350,000 to date. At the end of the day, the amounts that have been determined by the professionals at the end of the day come down to 7,000, which is by all members of council except for Councillor Callahan, which we haven't determined yet. So we've spent $350. The taxpayers are going to get back about 7,000, and whatever the determination is of Councillor Callahan. We went in camera today to have a lengthy discussion with our legal counsel, and even though I'm not allowed to tell you the specifics of the, not a recommendation, but the advice that we were given, there are a number of things that need to be taken into consideration, and that is, number one, this is what's considered a lame duck council, because the majority of council are not coming back. And there's some things that we as a council can and can't do. One of the things that we can't do is incur costs to the municipality of over $50,000. And we should not be incurring a liability resolution, that there could be considerable or some, I'm trying to say this in a way that I'm not breaching the code. So maybe legal counsel, can you help me in regards to how I let the public know about the concerns that you have about passing this resolution? We wouldn't go in camera if there wasn't concerns.
Through you, Mr. Chair, in order for me to address that in open, this council would have to decide that I can do so in open, and I would caution council that in doing so, you are waiving your privilege over the statements that I might make in open. You are waiving the solicitor-client privilege over those statements.
Okay, so I guess we can't share with you the information that was provided to us. So my opinion is that if we pass this resolution today, that there will be considerable risk to the municipality. I think the lawyer for the mayor said that should this action be taken, that he would be going to further action to a judicial review. So my caution is, and the information that I want to share with the public is that I believe considerable costs and liability to the municipality will unfold if this action or this resolution is taken by council when in fact it is a lame duck council. So I will not be supporting the resolution. I also believe that when council passed a resolution for an arbitrator to come in, we all signed a piece of paper said that it was a binding arbitration. We signed that when we went to the arbitrator, and it should have been enough. This council has gone through 4 years of turmoil. It's over. We have a new council, and in my opinion, it should stop here today. We can receive the reports of that are before us, and we will have the amounts of monies that have been determined by the arbitrator. I believe most of them are already paid, and this new council will be able to get on with the business of the municipality. We have wasted taxpayers' dollars and time in a dispute that needs to end. And if it isn't stopped today, it's going to continue. It's going to continue into the next term of council. And I don't know, I see people in the audience that were knocking on doors. Our municipality, our citizens want this to end. They don't want to see further conflict and further reputational harm to the municipality, and that's what this motion is going to do. So I am opposed to it. It's been stated in the newspapers that I am an ally of Mayor Fennell. I want to say quite clearly, I am an ally of this municipality, that I believe that this council should not be putting our taxpayers at further risk, and I think that our taxpayers want us to get on with running this municipality in the way it should be run. And it's time to put all of the other stuff to rest. And this motion is just going to perpetuate more conflict on this council. I don't believe that Councillor Callahan or Councillor Hutton willfully or in any way believe that they were breaking the code of conduct. So I won't support a 90-day loss of salary for them. But I also won't support a loss of salary for the mayor. I believe that at the end of the day, council passed numerous resolutions at a cost to the taxpayer. at the end of the day was that there were 2 breaches and that those are the funds that should be paid back just like everybody else. The mayor should in no way be treated differently than we are. So that's all I have to say. I would encourage my colleagues at your last meeting of this council to respect the taxpayers of this municipality and give them a message that it's time and that the City of Brampton Council is going to get on with doing the business of the municipality and making this the great city that we all know it is. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Moore?
Well, thank you. I believe the taxpayers of the City of Brampton elected the folks around this table to seek the truth through budget, to seek the truth through every recommendation that comes forward, and I believe that that's what this council has done. And it's unfortunate that it's cost the taxpayers money. Had there been more truth shared with this council in the past 4 years, then we wouldn't be where we are today. I personally believe that the forensic audit and that the Integrity Commissioner reports in seeking the truth was money well spent on behalf of the taxpayers of this municipality. I sat here in these council chambers in August, and I asked the auditor if on the matter of the mayor's calendar and the driver, the motion, and I apologize for the number of whereases that were in it, but sorry, not all members of council had a chance to read it in detail, but it very clearly states that the mayor's calendar is a matter of public record. And I asked the auditor specifically right here in these chambers if he was provided with a copy of the mayor's calendar, and he said no. Now, if it's a matter of public record under the Municipal Act, you have to question why it wasn't produced. It should have been produced for the auditor. This council approves the driver for the office of the mayor so that they can conduct business of the office of the mayor. And what this council was asking for through a reconciliation of that driver was the truth. Is the driver being used for municipal purposes so that the mayor can conduct her duties and responsibilities as laid out in the Municipal Act? That's all we're looking for, is evidence of that. And it was not provided to the forensic auditor. The motion simply says that we withhold the money until or unless that documentation is produced. It should be there. It should be there for the members of the public to see, not just for the members of the forensic audit team. The public deserves to know where the mayor is and what business she's doing and how she's advancing the best interests of this municipality. There were 2 reports produced by Deloitte. One was the big binder that details all of their findings, and the second was a report that outlined their recommendation, Deloitte's recommendation, on how much each member of council should pay back. That was the single report that Janet Leeper dealt with. And when we talk about spending taxpayers' dollars, let's talk about why we had to hire an independent auditor. It was because the mayor threatened action, whatever that means, against Deloitte and Swayze, the Integrity Commissioner, so they wouldn't come into our council chambers. We had to find a third party. So let's look at who was spending the money, taxpayers' dollars responsibly, forcing this council to make a decision so that procedural fairness could be achieved, not just for the members of this council, but for the mayor herself. So it was a cost that we incurred on behalf of the taxpayers in order to satisfy a procedural fairness process that we all had a right to and that the taxpayers had to pay for. The full report, this one, is what council had the authority to deal with. This is where the $144,000 for the driver comes from and where that amount comes from, completely separate from the report that was produced subsequent to this that spoke specifically to the payback. It's completely different. And in terms of the investigation going past this term of office to prior to 2010, the motion passed by this council back in February very specifically said that the forensic auditor had the authority to go prior to 2010, earlier as required through evidence-based investigation. Obviously, Deloitte felt there was a reason to go prior to 2010 to complete their report for members of council. I think the lame duck argument is quite frankly We have to do what's right in the eyes of the taxpayers. And I think that we've done that every step of the way. And to respond to Councillor Miles' comment with respect to who determines the rightness and the wrongness, I think there's only one answer to that, and that is the taxpayers. And in order for the taxpayers to make that decision, they have to have all of the information before them. And, you know, in the real world, if you don't have documentation, you don't get paid back. Any of you, if you're your employer, you pick up something for the office or for the company, and you say, oops, I lost the receipt on the way back to the office. Can I have my money back anyways? They say, go back to the vendor and get a copy of the receipt so that we've got something for our records here. And I think that that's something that the taxpayers relate to, and I think that everybody around this table relates to as well. We all heard throughout the election that the taxpayers wanted more accountability, they wanted transparency, and I agree with Councillor Miles. They want some closure. It is this council's responsibility, the term of office of 2010 to 2014, to bring closure to this matter. It's not the responsibility of the next council. It's ours. It's our mess to clean up, and that's what we're doing here today. Thank you.
Councillor Sprovieri?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate Councillor Miles' concern about the taxpayers' dollars, and all I have to say is that finding the truth doesn't come cheap, and I believe that this exercise that we have gone through and the results of this exercise, I believe that the public expects this to be carried out right to the end. Now, I just want to, the reason I'm so concerned about this very one issue about the limo service that I spoke about back in December 9th, 2013, when I felt it was time to bring accountability to that service. I asked the Chief of Staff, Mr. Ian Newman, to provide me with the mayor's schedule of how many times does she use the limo service, based on the mayor's comments on the previous, in the same budget meeting, when we questioned the limo service, and the mayor said 3 times, and here's the Brampton Guardian article where she said, the mayor of Brampton drives herself. Fano announced 3 times as she addressed criticism of her budget spending. The mayor of Brampton drives herself. So I asked Mr. Newman to provide me with a schedule. So he does provide me with some information. And he says, Councillor Sprovieri, further to your inquiry, here is the information you requested. Driving schedule to Toronto since 2013 January to date. Mayor Fennell has met in and around the GTA 22 times this year. So, given the statement that the mayor has made that she drives herself 3 times around the city and to do her job, and my understanding was that she used the limo service 22 times to get around the GTA, which I totally agree with, and I'm totally fine with that. When she goes out of the city into other municipalities, I believe that that's an appropriate time to use the service. So when I did the math and divided 22 times into $49,000 that council provided for the service, and it didn't mean say that she had to spend the whole $49,000. It wasn't a blanket check to say, here's $49,000, spend it whatever way you want it. It turns out that every trip, 22 trips divided into $49,000 was $22,200 a trip. $2,200 a trip. To me, that is absurd. To go anywhere for a day and pay $2,200 for service is not acceptable. Especially since, and I made this point at budget, that she has 3 staff members at her disposal. She has the chief of staff, she has her executive assistant, and she has her political media staff at her disposal. That these three people could easily have driven the mayor around to the various occasions, and that was my feeling at the time, and it is still my feeling today. And this is going to be my feeling with the new council, that if the mayor needs a driver to go for an evening occasion or a weekend occasion, she has her staff to take the car that's been provided by the city, fully paid, insurance, gas, and vehicle, and the staff person can drive the mayor around to these various um, occasions or whatever meetings or whatever it may be. So to me, based on this information, I believe that the mayor has to provide all the trips that she made that justified her spending the full $49,000 a year that was provided by council. Just because we said, okay, here's 49,000, didn't mean to say that she should spend every penny of it. And that's what happened. Somehow, the whole 49,000 got spent because council approved it. Now, to me, if I give, if I go shopping and I have $500 in my pocket, does it mean I'm going to spend the whole $500? Well, certainly not. I buy what is necessary, and the rest I use next time. So, Mr. Acting Mayor, I think that what we're doing here today is fair, is expected by the public, the taxpayer, that the mayor has to provide documentation that these trips that were taken by the limo were actually city related trips. And if she cannot do that, then it's possible that some of these trips were used other than for city purposes, and they should be paid back. And that's all we're asking for in this motion. Provide the information, provide the documentation, and if you can, you're off the hook. If you can, you pay the piper. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hutton?
Thank you. I thought we were debating the amendment only, and I would actually call for a vote on the amendment. I'd like to remain on the board to speak after the amendment is taken, but is in order to vote on the amendment now? I thought that's what we're doing.
We were debating the amendment, but council members were debating the whole issue.
Can I call the vote on the amendment?
No, I'm going to speak. I would like to speak to the amendment also.
Okay, since I may only get one chance, and this is my last kick at the can. The last time most of you will have a chance, maybe it's a blessing to listen to me. The mayor's legal counsel had mentioned my name as well because of perceived expenditures, which at the end, after Janet Leeper's report, which I concur with completely, is less than half of what the Deloitte report is, and there's so many holes in the Deloitte report. Certainly, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm guessing, and for other people as well, obviously, I won't go into all the details, but some are just stupid. When I moved, I had changed to my computer system, and so I was paying for a few months of what was called wireless. It was to do with the computer. Deloitte put down that I had 2 cell phones. They thought wireless, the only thing wireless meant was a cell phone. And so that came out in the press as well, that I had 2 cell phones, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. They didn't have enough brains to figure out or to even sort out the fact that it had to deal with my computer, which has been refunded by Bell since then. But little things like that and big things as well really add up. So I was hoping to have the vote first in this, but the motion or the amendment is a vindictive amendment. The mover told me before we came in here that he was only doing it as personally against me because of something I did or did not do, which has absolutely nothing to do with the city or politics or anything of that fashion. It has nothing to do with the city of Brampton. So, again, it's, I said it's a personal thing. I'm sorry that Councillor Callahan's dragged into it as well, but the two of us are named, and I have paid back the full amount, even though it was way out of whack. I had a lengthy conversation with a constituent who I tried to explain the fact that the reported expenses were way out of whack, and she said, well, if we get a tax bill, there may be errors made, but we have to pay the whole thing, and then we'll get a refund if there's some mistakes made. And I saw her point, so that's why I paid the whole amount several months ago for everything that was, and I apologize for errors of commission that I've made because of things that I assumed, and I should never assume, but I did assume that they were being checked by somebody downstairs, which is not the case. But however, I apologize, and I fully repaid all that. I just want to say, as this is my final chance to say something, and it's been gnawing at me for the last 4 years. With 29 years has been a long time, and I've had a lot of fun with here at this with this council. A lot of good things have happened, and a few bad things, but mostly good things. But the last 4 years have been very acrimonious. We have had the most dysfunctional council I've ever been part of, and it could have all ended 4 years ago when this first started, if the mayor had owned up to some of the things there were little things at that time, and if she had admitted that there were some mistakes made, apologized, and instead it multiplied, and it kept getting worse, and it kept getting worse, and our city was tarnished. The name Brampton the headlines kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and as time went on, it kept getting worse. And the mayor could have put an end to that in the beginning by accepting the first reports that came out and apologizing. But no, she continued. She's tried to spread the blame around to everybody else, blame us all, blame the press. The press is doing their job. There was no conspiracy by members of council. We were just trying to get along and try and do the best things for the city. But she kept spreading the blame around to everybody, and even now, even after the election, she's still blaming everybody else, not accepting any of the blame herself. And unfortunately, I think if she'd apologized 4 years ago, she may still be the mayor. Some of us may still be in council. There are several reasons why I was unsuccessful in the election, but one of them was the fact that I'm connected to this, I said, very dysfunctional council, which hurt everybody. And so I apologize to the citizens of Brampton. We maybe should have taken stronger steps earlier in the term, but the blame just kept getting spread around to everybody. It snowballed. We're all tarred with the same brush, unfortunately. Hopefully we can put an end to it. I wish all the success to the new mayor and the new council. Hopefully they can put Brampton back on the right track again, because we certainly, this city deserves better than what it has suffered through for the last term of council. So I wish all the best for the city, and hopefully the new council can put us back on the right track again, because I can see nothing but good things for Brampton in the future if we can get all this behind us. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm the next speaker. Not that issue there. I said right at the beginning of the meeting when the delegation spoke, I felt fair is fair, and that is the true meaning of my amendment. To use the excuse in that, I mean, if you all remember as council members that this, under the Integrity Commissioner, that everything was based on value-based. We all supported that here on council, going on value-based. And that when we dealing with, some didn't, but the majority majority of council, it was a motion on council that it be done on value-based. It was a recommendation of a former CAO here at the city. And to actually sit here and say, I mean, you're all supposed to be intelligent enough as a board of directors of a major corporation of the city of Brampton to know what you're allowed to spend your discretionary expense based on value-based. Taking your wife out to dinners and to theaters on private, non-sanctioned city events was never, absolutely never, part of my 29 years of this policy of the city. Neither was joining organizations that had absolutely nothing to do with the city of Brampton, and that you should have the intelligence to know that you shouldn't be expensing that to the city. If you want to join those organizations, you pay out of your pocket. If you want to take your spouse or family members to an event that is not a city-sanctioned event, you know that you're going there for your own personal pleasure, and the taxpayers of this city should not be paying for that. And that, bottom line, is the reason for my amendment. Absolutely, there was 3 members mentioned in that Integrity Commissioner's report. Based on that, we are dealing with 2 separate reports here tonight, folks, or this afternoon, sorry, soon to be tonight, was the Deloitte report and the Integrity Commissioner's report. 2 separate reports. This motion deals with both of those reports. And my amendment is on the issue of the Integrity Commissioner's report. 3 named members. The penalty should be imposed exactly the same as them. I do have a seconder for the motion, and I don't know if they have a personal vendetta or not. I don't believe so. My reason for it is that is what we should all know, every single member of council should have known in dealing with that and what you were allowed to expend. My penalty was, absolutely, I paid it, $145. I got the invoice for a city for $1,315 and I paid for it. And then the Deloitte came out and said you forgot to pay the HST. It was never on the invoice. I'm not going to question that. I'm going to pay the invoice. And that, so absolutely willingly I paid the HST that was owing on that invoice, as I should have. But you got to get the invoice first with the right figure before you pay it. And that's the only infraction that I had in dealing with that from Deloitte as my position to go forward. So has nothing to do with this amendment whatsoever. And that everybody breached, I breached also with that one issue on my own personal. But this amendment absolutely should go forward if you want to start. And I wish the new mayor all the best in dealing with the new council that's coming forward and that, and dealing with these issues and that type of thing. And it should be revisited. There was also a motion that nobody has presented here yet today, but there was a recommendation that absolutely at January 1st, the new code of conduct should be dealt with. And I certainly hope that the new mayor will come forward with a complete new code of conduct and everything will be spelled out. So at least the new council members coming forward, because they don't seem to have, some of them, the intelligence of dealing with market value and know what they're supposed to do as running a corporation, that at least it be spelled out for them word for word so you know what you can spend your money on and what you can't spend your money on. That's absolutely ridiculous to use the issue of ignorance and not knowing. Boy, oh boy, that's what really amazes me. And that in dealing with it over the number of years that members of council have been on here and still thought that they could take advantage of the public and the taxpayer by their own personal gains. Councillor Sanderson, you're next.
I'm almost afraid to.
Well, you know,
Thank you
really
very
enough's enough.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and it's been a tough meeting, and I'm glad you showed up to do it today, because otherwise I would have had to do it, and I wouldn't want to do that. So I just want to say that this is my last council meeting. I hope it's my last council meeting, because I hope there's not another meeting called. But I do have to say that I've been proud to be a member of this council for the last 2 terms, which is 8 years, and I think we've accomplished a lot. I know there's been a lot said about a lot of the money that we wasted, the forensic audit. I have to argue that. It was me that put the motion forward for the forensic audit, and I got to tell you, I got lots and lots and lots of compliments. If I got $1 for every compliment that I got for putting a forensic audit forward on this particular issue, we would have been able to pay for that forensic auditor out of that. And so I'm proud I did that. I'm glad I stood up and had the courage to be able to put that audit forward. I didn't get hired by the city of Brampton. I got hired by the taxpayers of Brampton. And, this last go-round here, I didn't run for my seat here. I run for the mayor, and I got over 22,000 votes. So there's 22,000 people out there that really appreciate what I've done in the city of Brampton here, and I respect that. I just want to say that, and again, I'm going to miss the job. I want to wish Linda Jeffrey, the new mayor, all the best, and the new council. I see one of them up here today, and I wish them all the best going forward. And I gotta tell you that I'm a proud Bramptonian, and I'm not going away. Thank you.
Thank you. John Hutton.
Thank you. Could I ask Mr. Swayze if he would come to the microphone, please? Now I had a couple of discussions with you, and I had agreed to, I think we had an agreement, I think, on what I did owe and what I would to the city, and that the amount you mentioned, or you didn't mention an amount, you just mentioned that there are unresolved issues that I'm not quite sure the verbiage, but I had agreed with you, or you would agree with me, I guess, that I would repay a certain amount, and that wasn't made clear at all in your report, that it doesn't differentiate between the original report from Deloitte and what I had agreed that I was responsible for and would repay. So I just wanted to make that clear. There was no amount mentioned whatsoever. So it appears that you were agreeing with Deloitte and that with their amount. So I don't know if you have any comments or can clear that up.
That's a different report. In fairness, you're speaking about the Deloitte report. I think you're here for your report, sir. Is that not correct? Yes. Okay, thank you. So I don't know if you're going to speak to a Deloitte report unless you're going to speak. Really, you should be speaking to his reports.
I asked him for his report. So.
All I was going to say was that I didn't deal specifically with any repayments. I tried to deal generally with some of the issues, but I wasn't asked to tell council how much should be prepaid.
Right.
And I didn't do that.
Okay, thank you.
But we did discuss what I legitimately, or what I agreed was a legitimate expense that I should be repay the city, and or illegitimate, I guess, in that term. We did discuss certainly what
you can try it,
amounts.
We had a phone conversation, but I assume that you've moved on with the arbitrator.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, sir. So we're dealing specifically with the amendment. It's moved by myself and second by Sandra Hames. So all those in favor of that amendment? The amendment was then further that, further that Councillor Callahan and Hutton be subject to the same penalties and requirements as Mayor Fennell for the breaching of the Code of Conduct. Well, it's up to you guys. If you don't want to vote on it, then step away from the table. Okay, so all those in favor of the amendment? 3 opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, thank you. Yeah, it lost. The amendment lost. So you now have the main motion before you. The speakers to the main motion, I'd like to speak briefly on it if I could. Is there any other speakers that wish to speak to the main motion? Okay, yeah, you did. You sort of did when you weren't. I tried to keep my remarks strictly to guess, I want to be very clear on where I'm coming from on this, and the reason why that I would not support it. I absolutely support that, first of all, things should be paid if they're absolutely owed. But my position is that, and I will say it again, that if one person has breached the code of conduct, then the other person has certainly breached the code of conduct, and that's in the main motion here. I guess my question is, how much do you penalize a person for the code of conduct? You've got a person here that has absolutely has lost their position with the city of Brampton, so has been penalized by the public. And I guess I look at it on the basis of what is the responsibility to the corporation and what is the cost and potential risk to the corporation. We have spent approximately $350,000 on this issue already and collected 7,000 back. It may be 7,000 plus something, but it absolutely will not come out to even half of what the city has spent on this. So there's two issues I look at it on the basis of. Certainly the person that the public punished, the former mayor, she's not returning to office. Is that punishment enough? I think that's a pretty big punishment when you don't get reelected and the public believes that you breached the trust of the public. And they spoke, and they have responded to that. I guess I look at sitting here, really my last duty as a public official here is the issue that I also speak to is the protection of the corporation, and I've spent every year that I have been here trying to protect the corporation and issues that are dealing with. And the public needs to know that if this motion goes forward, you absolutely will be in court. And there is a risk to the public. So the risk to the public, I look at what the recommendation is here. If documentation isn't provided, it's $144,000. Being around this table for as long as I have, I know that that's going to cost the corporation a lot more than $144,000 to collect that. And I have, in the past, always been a stickler on principle, saying, you know, we should still, if the principle is there, we should still go after that on that issue. I'm looking at the person is absolutely being penalized by losing a position of no matter how much they're paid. They've lost their regional pay, they've lost their city pay, they've lost their police commission pay, and I forget what else there was that added up to being quoted as the most expensive mayor in the country, or the highest paid. I guess the issue was that you have to take it in and divide. The new mayor has the opportunity to sit on the police commission, which will be a paid position. So I'm looking forward to seeing, as a public member, to look at the budgets also and see what budgets are being spent and how those positions. I see lots of press saying that the salary will be reduced. I don't know if the region salary will be reduced or the police commission salary will be reduced. The other issues, I think, that has to be a motion of council. When the mayor tried to withdraw her pay in the last 2 years, we told her that it was completely illegal to do that. So I guess the new mayor would have to do the same. They would have to come forward to council and suggest that those amounts be, you can't just arbitrarily do it, you have to come forward and do it. I guess, but the concern I have for the corporation is the risk on this issue of trying to penalize, and we don't know if documentation is going to be provided. But I look at the main motion as saying that there is a considerable risk to the public, that it's going to be a lot more than $144,000, and I hopefully, in support of the new council that's coming in, that the public realizes that, doesn't hold it against the new council if this thing does go to court and it ends up costing the corporation another $300,000 or whatever plus in dealing with it, that they don't hold it against the new council members that they've wasted another $300,000 of their hard-earned taxpayer money. With that, I see we do have another speaker on the main motion, and then I'll call the question.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And, understand what you're saying, and but I'm confident that with the motion as it has been structured, the municipality is not in any danger of being having to end up in court and having to defend. I think it's a very fair motion. I think it leaves the door open for the mayor to provide proper documentation of how she used that service. And when I did my research, as has been stated many times over and over, this policy, the value-based policy, is really what's caused all these problems to us, and not only to the mayor but to the rest of us. That they were measures in place to prevent that from happening, and unfortunately, most of us felt that we were responsible enough to take on this value-based policy, which actually, based on the report, the mayor's speech in 2010, when she outlined her action plan for accountable government, in her inaugural speech for the 2010-2014 term of council, the mayor outlined her priorities for the first 100 days of this term, including the launch of the mayor's action plan for accountable government. And this plan that was then turned into a report that was brought to us in February 2nd, 2011 by the city manager, and I have the report here, and it states that the council on December 15th, 2011 directed the city manager to provide council with a code of conduct, and so this is where that value-based policy was born, and I have to say that it was a very, although it was not unanimously supported by all members of council, the majority did support it, and that was the whole the issue that caused all the pain for us, not only for the mayor but for us. And I don't know why the mayor even initiated that effort to bring this plan for accountable government by introducing the value-based policy. To me, that I believe that most of us we followed through with our commitment, but it did lead us into problems, and here we are today with this mess. And so, for that reason, Mr. Acting Mayor, we have to understand where all this idea was born from, and the people who dreamed up the idea have to, now wear the results. And to me, what we're doing here today, I believe, is fair. The public expects it. We need to have accountability, and we need the receipts. So show us the receipts, and the mayor's off the hook. If the receipts are not available, then then the bill has to be paid. And if she wants to take us to court because she can't produce the receipts, I don't know how much sympathy she's going to get from a judge when they go before the court and without any receipts. So I stand by the motion, and I'm going to totally support what we're doing here today. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm going to seek clarification on what exactly is being asked. So there's a resolution for 144,150.25 for the mayor's driving service. So the amendment that was put at the end, what does it say?
The amendment says, Mr. Acting Mayor, adding the words at the end, until or unless satisfactory documentation is produced. So what's the satisfactory documentation?
So the mayor has to produce the receipts. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. satisfactory documentation where they went on every trip?
I believe I heard the acting mayor say that that was up to council as to what exactly satisfactory documentation is.
No. Well, what satisfactory
I don't
documentation?
quite remember saying those words, but I thought that it would be left up. I mean, certainly the CAO that will have to go through what I said was that I thought that from the finance department, that if there's documentation in the finance department to support the cost for the driver.
So I think that as this is the last term of this council, or the last meeting of this council, and this motion is ambiguous, can we have clarification what we're voting on?
Let's be fair, we know exactly what we're
No,
voting on
I don't,
here.
Councillor Paleche. The 40, from what I understand,
Can Mr. Corbett answer your question?
From what I understand,
through
it's
you.
an RFP for a driving service for a period of time.
So I think probably the quick and easy way to do this is to use the exact mechanism used before and have the documentation referred to the arbitrator. And she can make a final decision.
Well, is council in agreement with that? I mean, it has to be defined, otherwise, who's gonna determine, who is gonna determine the amount?
But that's a fair way of doing it, cause it's established and we've already used that process.
And is the $40,000, or I figure it's about $40,000 that you wanna dock her pay for 3 months, is that based on the outcome of the 144?
They're two separate reports. The Integrity Commissioner's report is the penalizing, and the council recommendation here is that the penalty for the mayor be 3 months' pay. That is entirely separate from the $144,000. Staff, correct me if I'm wrong.
So the breach of the code of conduct is in regards to what action?
90 days' pay.
No,
It
but
says
in
it
regards
the
to
motion.
what action?
You would take the the amendment lost, so it's 90 days' pay would be taken, 90 days' pay would be taken out of the severance.
No, okay.
I believe, is that not?
So, wait,
Peter,
so,
is that
no,
not?
just for clarification.
Yes, okay.
Clarification. So, the Integrity Commissioner's report said that the mayor has
When we have
violated the
four
code of
next
conduct by approving the purchase of Latitude flight passes for her travel and that of staff which are freely upgradable to business class contrary to policy. So that's what the 90 days is. Is that correct? Can we ask the mover of the motion? Is that correct?
It's not specific to, it's the fact that she knowingly breached the code.
Of what? For what?
Conduct.
For what? Is it in relation to Patrick Swayze's report?
It's the action of knowingly breaking the code. It's not the specifics of how the code was
Well,
broken.
in what regard?
Listen, I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know how you respond to these because they are so abundantly clear in the motion to me.
No,
that
they're
I don't
not.
know how to explain this.
You
You're not-
have-
Well, you're not supporting it anyways, Councillor Marl.
Doesn't
So I guess
matter.
you can get all the clarification afterwards that you want.
Irregardless,
The
Councillor
motion is
Moore,
pretty clear.
I have the
I'm-
floor.
Did you want to speak?
Well, I
I
don't know
have
whether
the
you have
floor.
the floor, but you've looked for a lot of clarification.
I
think
have
I
the
can provide
floor.
for you.
Mr. Mayor, Acting Mayor,
I'm gonna, take control of the meeting back.
thank you.
If you don't mind.
So what I would like to know is that council's gonna be asked to vote on a motion that says that council impose on the mayor the maximum penalty of 90 days pay suspension as permitted under Municipal Act for breaching the code of conduct. So if I go to the code of conduct report by Patrick Swayze, it says that the mayor,
It's Robert
Sorry.
Swayze.
Patrick,
I don't think Patrick Swayze's around anymore.
and I don't know if you can dance like that. But anyway, the report that I have from Mr. Swayze says that the mayor has violated the code of conduct by approving the purchase of Latitude flight passes for her travel and that of staff which are are freely upgradable to business class contrary to policy. I don't know, is there anywhere else in the report that says there was other breaches? Mr. Swayze, can you, no? No, no, so it's, then the vote, this has got to be pertaining to the latitude passes, correct? That's what it says.
It says his breach, you know what? It's gonna be battled out in court anyway, so don't worry about it.
But members of council need to know what they're voting on.
No.
You're voting on a resolution for a breach of code of conduct for latitude passes, because that's what the Integrity Commissioner report says, correct? Is that correct?
Yes,
That's correct, okay.
yes.
That's correct. And the 144,150, the city manager is asking that we refer that to the arbitrator to determine how much money the mayor should actually pay. Is that what the resolution says?
No.
No, it does not say
No,
that.
it does not say that.
That was just a recommendation or an idea.
Okay, so council has to fill in the details. You can't walk out the door and leave this like this.
Watch it. Wait about another 5 minutes and you'll see what's gonna happen.
You're gonna walk out the door?
Yeah.
Well, come on, guys. We're concluding business. If you're gonna conclude it properly. Who's gonna deal with the 144,000 and determine how much she pays? Is that gonna be our treasury department? Is it gonna be whether or not she did breach protocol? Who's it gonna be? Well, how are you gonna bring it back? This is our last meeting of council.
It'll go on, it absolutely will go on to the next council.
It's ridiculous.
And you're gonna be there, so you'll have fun.
Oh, I know.
right.
So, we don't know, we're passing a motion, and it says we're going to be able to figure out how much she has to pay, but we don't know how we're going to dispute that. And we have a resolution that she's breached the code of conduct for 90 days, but we have an arbitration, saying that there was no breach. That's what we're voting on. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hames?
No, I'm not calling the question.
Could somebody go on the board to call a question? Go on the board, call a question. Next.
Can I
Sorry.
speak now?
Yes. I just wanna make sure the next person was on the board and is gonna call a question.
Okay. Well, I'm just not happy with this whole situation. You know, Mayor Fennell is not gonna come back to council at all. So why are we trying to knock her down every which way we can? It doesn't suit us as members of council around here to do something like that with another colleague. And I just believe we're doing the really wrong thing there. The mayor's not going to be back here. Some of us members that are retiring are not going to be here either. But I certainly don't like to hear what people are saying about the mayor, who isn't here to defend herself, although her lawyer did come and speak. But around this table, we should be acting, everyone says it's about the residents, it's about the people, and it is. But we've been sitting here for, I don't know how long today, just dissing the mayor. Pretty well is what we're doing. And it doesn't look good on any members of council around this table to act in that manner. Never seen that happen before, and I've been here for 24 years. And it's just wrong. The mayor's gone. Don't keep battering her now. That's just being bullying. And I don't think members of council should be doing things like that. And I'm done.
sit here and listen to the trash that's coming out about picking on somebody. This is another conspiracy type of thing that I'm sick and tired of reading about in the papers. If some of the questions that we've been asking for the last 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years had come out, we wouldn't be here today talking. And that's why we're here, because we couldn't get answers. And I'm sick and tired of listening to people trying to protect the mayor when we couldn't get answers. And I think of Councillor Callahan asking 4 times a specific item years ago and got lied to 4 times, and we're sitting here still debating some of this stuff. And like I say, I wasn't gonna say anything, but I'm not gonna listen to you people that are trying to protect, as we're bullying. Come on, I've been bullied for 4 years around here by somebody on this council. I'm not gonna sit here and listen to that. Let's get on and vote on it.
Okay, thank you. So the question you have before you, yeah, you've asked for a recorded vote. There is one change. I hate to say it, but there is.
Yes.
And that was the one on the,
Janet Liper's report.
Janet Liper's report that it said be approved, and it's just changed it to be received. Everybody's fine with that? No. Not even close, John. Yeah, the question has been called, Councillor
we
Miles,
can.
so
Nope.
sorry, but,
You can't, it's, out of board.
The issue of the driving being forwarded to Janet Liper for arbitrated settlement for funds that we haven't done.
Yeah, it should be a separate motion, because you've got the vote to, call the question.
It's an amendment that's appropriate.
what was it? I'm sorry.
That Janet Liper be asked to be the arbitrator on that issue of the.
Okay, that's a separate amendment. We'll take that amendment first. All those in favor, you don't need a recorded vote on that. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3.
I didn't hear what it was.
That she be the arbitrator, that you go back to her as the arbitrator.
Arbitrator for the driving stuff.
Okay, sorry. 1, 2,
It's gotta be dealt with by someone.
the Janet Liber be
Well,
be, no, I'm not, oh, come on, guys. Now we got a list. That's right. You know what? You're absolutely right. The question was called, sorry, Councillor Miles, but I'm not accepting that amendment.
Members of council, a recorded vote has been called. A recorded vote has been called. Are you aware of the motion that's being voted on now?
Better be.
Want it read? 2 pages? Whereas the members of council for the 2010-2014 term of office have an obligation to the taxpayers and to the newly elected incoming mayor and councillors to take every reasonable and appropriate measures to bring closure to matters related specifically to them personally and collectively. Whereas on February 12th, 2014, council passed resolution C-036, 2014, directing that a forensic audit be conducted on the mayor and members of council expenses for the term of office 2010 to 2014 or earlier as required through evidence-based investigation. Whereas the mayor's threat of action against Deloitte auditors and Brampton's Integrity Commissioner Robert Swayze precluded both parties from appearing before council to address and respond to questions, requiring council to subsequently appoint Janet Liper as an independent arbitrator to undertake a dispute resolution process and prepare a final report on amounts repayable by each member of council. Whereas the independent arbitrator's report addresses only amounts identified by Deloitte as recommended payback by each councillor. Whereas council specifically directed that any contravention of the city policies or procedures for members of council be repaid by each member's personal funds. Whereas there remains identified breaches in the Deloitte report for which council has the authority and obligation to address on behalf of taxpayers. Whereas Brampton Integrity Commissioner Robert Swayze's findings state that the mayor has violated the code by knowingly overspending on her business travel on multiple occasions. Whereas Mr. Robert Swayze has stated that he stands behind his findings and recommendations. Whereas council has the authority to withhold up to 90 days' pay for any member of council, including the mayor who has violated the code of conduct. Whereas council approved driver for the office of the mayor is intended to assist the mayor in fulfilling the duties of the office of the mayor. Whereas the mayor, as an officer of the corporation under the Municipal Act, is required to make her schedule and calendar of events a matter of public record. Whereas the July 2014 Deloitte report identified $144,150.25 for driving services and for which the mayor's office did not have specific documented information from the supplier regarding day-to-day services, and as a result, we did not have enough information to determine whether all contracted services were in compliance with the 2001 expense policy and the 2011 expense policy. Therefore, be it resolved that arbitrator Janet Leeper's report on a simplified dispute process in the matter of amounts repayable by members of council be received. Be it further resolved that council deem Mayor Susan Fennell be personally financially responsible for driving services in the amount of $144,150.25 identified on page 2 of 2, Schedule 11 in the July 2014 Deloitte forensic examination of the expenses of the mayor and councilors, corporation of the city of Brampton, and be it further resolved that council impose on the mayor the maximum penalty of 90 days pay suspension as permitted under the Municipal Act for breaching the code of conduct. Be it further resolved that all such members be withheld from any amounts owing to the mayor under the council-approved severance package until or unless satisfactory documentation is produced. That is the motion. Will all members in favor of the motion please stand to be counted? Voting in favor, I see Councillor Moore, I see Councillor Gibson, Councillor Hutton, Councillor Sprovieri, Councillor Dillon, Councillor Sanderson, and Councillor Callahan. May I have all councillors opposed to that motion please stand to be counted? I see Councillor Miles, I see Councillor Hames, I see Councillor Paleshi, Acting Mayor. Mr. Acting Mayor, the vote is 7 in favor, 3 opposed, 1 absent.
Right.
That motion is
Okay.
carried.
Thank you. We have the other, we have another motion.
There are other motions to be taken care of.
The other motion that you do have is the issue about the forensic audit of mayors and members of council expenses be received, and that the Integrity Commissioner report to council as soon as possible after January 1st, so it would really be the new council that this recommendation would go to. In changes to the code of conduct, I think the new mayor has mentioned that she would be looking at that, and the compliance protocol and all other policies. So you have that motion there. It's been moved by Councillor Moore and Councillor Gibson. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. While we're waiting for the clerk to come back, this is my hopefully last council meeting also as Councillor Sanderson. That said, and what I want to say is I want to thank you to the staff. I absolutely think that you have, through the difficult times that we have faced in the last 4 years plus, but I think mainly the last term of council, I think that your professionalism has come out as absolutely the best. You have never, I don't believe, from being in that position, a professional position in dealing with the council members, and I can assure you that it was very volatile, and Councillor Sanderson actually had mentioned to me to make sure that we do